Hello and welcome to the Politickr Market Wrap. Let's take a look at the political stocks making headlines on Intrade for the first week of September. After a long summer of bruising town hall meetings and sagging approval ratings, the president will go before a joint session of Congress next week to discuss health care reform, but most political traders think that his prescription will no longer include a public option. As you can see here, the public option on Intrade has plummeted over the last week, down now to around somewhere between 15 and 18, which is near its low. And not since August, when the Health and Human Services Secretary announced that the administration perhaps was backing away from the public option, has the stock on Intrade plummeted the way it did this past week. The New York Times reported this week that the latest plan under consideration by the White House would not create a full-scale public option. It would only create a public option as a kind of backup in which the government would move in and provide health care only where fewer than 95% of residents in a state had access to affordable health care coverage. Intrade said yesterday that such a plan would not constitute a federal-run government health insurance plan for purposes of the contract, and therefore, as you can see, traders have been selling it pretty much across the board. Word also broke this week that Justice Stevens, surprise, surprise, is actually considering retiring from the U.S. Supreme Court. While it's hardly breaking news that the 89-year-old Supreme Court justice will be leaving at some point soon, and wants to leave the U.S. Supreme Court before Obama leaves the White House, court observers and legal bloggers reported the first real indication this week that could happen as early as next summer. The AP reported that Justice Stevens hired only one law clerk for the October 2010 term, which is usually seen as an indication that a justice is preparing to depart the court. Of course, that was the case with Justice Souter, so political traders can take a cue from this news, perhaps, and start buying Stevens' departure contract on Intrade. While there were some bids that went up after the news broke of his clerk hiring for the October 2010 term, as you can see, there haven't been any trades yet. Some veteran House Democrats may also be considering retirement given the dire predictions for Dems in the midterms. Politico reported this week that double-digit losses could be in the cards for Democrats in 2010. Charlie Cook told Politico that the situation this summer has slipped completely out of control for the president and for Democrats. He predicts that Democrats will lose as many as 20 seats in the House in the midterm elections. Nate Silver, the vaunted political statistician, predicts that the Republicans will win somewhere between 20 and 50 seats in the House, and that they have somewhere around a 25 to 33% chance of taking back control of the House in 2010. Political traders, as you can see, tend to agree with Nate Silver on this. They give the Democrats a 75% chance as of now of holding on to the House, and a slightly greater chance, 90% chance, of holding on to the Senate. Finally, a few Politickr picks to watch in the coming weeks. President Obama's approval rating on Real Clear Politics, the average is 53%, but it'll be interesting to see what happens with that after his address to Congress, and perhaps after the possible outbreak of a severe swine flu season in the United States. Now, the contract on whether his approval rating will exceed 50% by the end of September is currently trading at 58 on Intrade, which is up slightly from where it's been over the course of the last week, up roughly 10 points. So we'll have to see with that one. Also, in a recent interview with the New York Times, the head of the AFL-CIO, John Sweeney, said that the union would be willing to back a key piece of legislation, the Employee Free Choice Act, even if it didn't include a controversial card check provision. So the chance of that controversial piece of legislation passing Congress before the end of the year appears to be greater than it's been certainly over the course of the last couple of months now. If the union is willing to agree to that compromise. Currently, the possibility of passage is trading at 13%, so that could be a good buying opportunity if you think that Congress will be able to get that done by the end of the year. And that'll do it for today's political prediction market wrap here at Politickr. Please follow us on Twitter at Politickr for your political prediction market updates, and check us out at our blog, politickr.blogspot.com.